evening to all the participants, and then I sincerely thank agriinformation.com for having given me this opportunity to deliver today's lecture. So let me very quickly go, because as usual, the schedule is we take half an hour presentation and half an hour discussion part. See, now the very fundamental issue is why the issue of soilless protected cultivation came. Because, just like you have a smart house, just like you got a flat system, just like you got a metro rail, see, everything cannot be on a soil, and with 6,48,000 villages in India, okay, and then cultivating somewhere, then marketing it somewhere. See, most of the markets are all in cities, whether especially in agriculture produce and all that, but the production centers are all in remote villages. So therefore, people thought that, and with the land value, as soon as you are coming towards the cities, okay, to reduce that transportation cost, but the land value is going to be very high. If then the land value is going to be high, the traditional methods of agriculture or horticulture, when you are doing it, is going to not only cost you a lot, but also the value of the land is a lot. Therefore, you have to produce more crop per drop, and then you will have to have an efficient supply chain and a value chain. And then you cannot afford to produce it somewhere in the remotest village of India and then transport it to the metropolitan cities. The supply chain is going to cost you a lot. So therefore, in order to avoid all these things, the issue of soilless and protected cultivation is going to come. As you already know, that the Indian Institute of Horticultural Research is having the Center for Protected Cultivation in Horticulture. We got the Advanced Center. So I'll be very quickly telling you about it. That is the topic, and this is my address. We have already been telling this. See, now, when you use a soilless media, what happens, especially in a nursery, the earliness of producing, okay, better nutrient supply, we can reduce the wastage of nutrients and so on. So I'll just quickly go. See, why, see, suppose, you want to produce more, and where is the soil? Where is the land? See, the land reclamation is more costly. Recently, Sadhguru and others, they said save the soil. Soil was misused in the Green Revolution days. People are dumping fertilizers, pesticide. Especially when you want to go the organic way, okay, you cannot afford all these things. You should have a smarter type of production with the soilless media, and then the soil is not a sink, and the soil is not a pit where you can dump everything. So now let us quickly see, this is our Center of Excellence on protected cultivation of horticulture crops. We are giving emphasis on the soilless production and then the cocoa peat production and hydroponics and so on and so forth. Very quickly, I'll be showing you. Recently, this was inaugurated by our Agriculture Minister Narendra Tomar and the State Agriculture Minister Shobha Karandlade. She was just here last month. See, now you see how all the temperature, humidity, everything is going to be controlled. There's no soil. I'll just tell you in the next slide how we are using the small trays, pro trays, cocoa peat, and then even small glasses. And see, these are all the cocoa peat where you put, and how the nursery management is going to take place with this without any soil. And then earlier, even nurseries were made only in the soil. So you used to put it. See, especially, when you talk about preparing small tomato plants and chili plants, where the tomato leaf curl virus, the Bemisia tabaci, which is a vector, is going to inject. So therefore, we say nursery management, they have to put a mesh or a net, and then they have to do it. Otherwise, it will inject the virus, and later on, you cannot do anything once when the chilies or anything is transplanted in the field. See, look at all this wonder peat and how the cultivation is taking place, and look at the very heavy value. Simply, this is a wonder peat small bag, what you are seeing. I'll tell you the theory part later. See, it's a bumper production, especially, you can control the condition, you can control the climate, you can control the humidity, and there is no question of any seasonality coming into the crop. See, nobody can say today that tomato or all these soilless protected crops, it should be grown only in the cold season or the warm season or the summer season. All the 3 seasons, it can be grown, because we are trying to control both the sunlight. See, actually, the Rabi, Kharif, summer is only an issue because of the sunlight and the day length. See, now when you are controlling that in a polyhouse or a greenhouse or a glass house, see, now I think you already know what is the difference between a polyhouse, a greenhouse. See, greenhouse basically is to avoid the greenhouse gases, whereas a polyhouse is actually, controlling all the different other weather parameters. and then making the congenial condition for the crop to grow. And look at how nutrients has been given. See, more of potash, you get bigger fruits. Okay, and then more of nitrogen, you get the vegetative growth and more leaves. So even these things are controlled in the soilless cultivation. And in the next slide, I'll say this is the vertical farming. You can have, you can vertically, you can mount it into about 5 to 6 rows like this, so that every plant is going to get sunlight and there's absolutely no competition. The canopy architecture is also going to be modified. This is exactly what we did in IIHR. You see how other sensors and other things will also control the light. Look at, this is the aerial view at Hesarghatta IIHR, where our Center for Protected Cultivation. Look at all these poly houses which are erected with the Mission on Development of Horticulture, the MIDH funds. Okay, the Government of India, say it has been done. And here they not only do research, but also train a lot of FPOs and other people to take up this particular soilless cultivation and other activities. And you see how the structure is there, both for the nursery. So we also have a polycarbonate fan and a pad greenhouse. See how here again, the question of controlling the condition is coming in these greenhouses. Now we'll go to these are the pro trays. Absolutely no soil. We just put some cocoa peat. The nursery, normally when you use this sort of soilless nursery management, which in a commercial nursery, the production cost may be very less, but they charge 5 rupees per seedling. See, that is how it's going to do. Any seed, it doesn't matter whether tomato or the seed, you can take and give it to them. Actually the seedling cost does not include the seed cost. Please be very careful. So suppose you give them a hybrid tomato seeds and they will convert into seedlings and give, the cost is going to be 5 rupees per seedling. Still it is worth it, because you need not waste your land and the drudgery of creating this nursery and for transplantation. And look at this fan and pad polyhouse. Look at these huge fans which is going to control the temperature, humidity and so on. And look at these fans here, fan and pad polyhouse. Okay, insect proof net house. I told you, especially in case of chilies, capsicum and all that, especially the leaf curl virus, LCV, is going to be affected, because Bemisia tabaci, the white fly, is the vector. So especially during the nursery stage, if you have to avoid this, it's very good. Otherwise, you will have a lot of problems when you plant transplant. And look at this insect proof net house. See, this is exactly what farmers has to do on the soil. But now, in the polyhouse, even without soil, I'll show you in the next slide. And then this is our water harvesting pond. So absolutely for everything, soil is not required. You can have a small trench and, see, this is also equal to a soilless pit. See, now if you simply have a water, what will happen? All the water will drain down and it will start leaching out. To avoid that, we put a mulch. Similarly, in soilless cultivation, we supply nutrients. So I'll show you that also. You see here, we are using all the tubes here for every pot. We have been, see, these are the nutrient mixture, especially in hydroponics, where we create the optimum nutrient mixture of N, P, K, and then the required micronutrients, zinc, boron, and whatever. And then, you see, look at this horizontal trace, where every pot, the cocoa peat is there, and then they are going to supply the nutrients inside that. And that's how we are getting. So this is our Center of Excellence and Protected Cultivation of Horticulture Crops. So absolutely bumper production, no issues. See, wherever the demand is high, wherever you are closer to the cities, wherever the seasonality is an issue, wherever the off-season crops are in high demand, and wherever the markets are closer, this is how you have to do vertical integration with the markets, and you'll have to do it. And this is the hand pollination. You see the pollen grains are all they are collected in this asphyxiator. So this girl is actually pollinating, so that the pollination percentage should be very high. So this is this stacked tomatoes here. So the pollination is occurring. So absolutely no wastage, both at the soilless and the aquaponics, whatever is the thing. The idea here is to increase the production at a lesser cost with more efficiency. So we have also produced a lot of technical bulletins. You can go through it, look at all this pro trace, and they're going to come up. So this is how even by doing a nursery, you can make a lot of money here, not just about production. Production, obviously, especially in a very high value crops like vanilla, okay, high value cucumbers, high value gherkins, where 100% export is going to be done, you will have to use these sort of things. Okay, so now, so issues we are facing, we have already told you why There may be drought, rising temperatures, polluted water systems, lack of irrigation, poor water management. All these things we should go for hydroponics and soilless cultivation. After all, a plant requires only, the soil was only a medium where nutrients and water had to be supplied. Sunlight is definitely an important element for photosynthesis, where carbon dioxide combines with water, to produce the glucose, the C6H12O6 molecule. So it's just a medium. So what medium is irrespective. Earlier, people were cooking with firewood. Nowadays, micro ovens have come. The cooking has become smart. Similarly, for photosynthesis, whatever we require for the plants, we are going to give it in soilless cultivation. So this is absolutely well said. So there is a tray, there is a growing medium, and there is a wick maybe there, which is going to be all the, it may be through air or it may be even through the water. So we put the air pumps and then floating platforms with plants in the water culture when we call it as hydroponics, and then the nutrients are absorbed through the root system. And even the roots require oxygen. So we put the air pump to supply oxygen even for the roots, so that it will respire, and both the xylem which transports the nutrients from the roots to the shoots where the photosynthesis takes place, and sunlight should be adequately given, at least about 6 to 8 hours of active sunlight. Okay, whereas in a rabi crop, the sunlight requirement is less, therefore it is in the, we used to call it as rabi, but if we give that optimum condition, rabi, kharif or summer will disappear. So this is about the soilless culture. We can have a better quality of produce. So continuous cultivation is possible. Absolutely no weed problem, no need of fumigation. See, because there is no other plant at all. See, soils may have weeds and other plant roguing, and the agronomic practices, plowing, tilling, all those things are avoided here. More productivity per unit area and time, more crop per drop and things like that. And also the climate change and global warming is occurring in a very big scale. You must have seen a lot of rains, especially in the coming 5 days. Also a lot of rains are going to be there. So therefore, but our cultivation cannot stop. You see, now when heavy rains are there, when the harvesting, this is almost the harvesting season of many of the kharif crops. So people, farmers were crying that, sir, heavy rains have come, and the smut is a big problem in crops like bajra or red gram, which also comes to the harvest, or paddy, whatever. So therefore, soilless, of course, we cannot grow very common crops, like only high value crops are targeted in the soilless culture. So it may be solid media culture. We use compost, and then we use cocoa peat, which is a very important thing, and aeroponics also, a lot of air circulation going on to the root. This is how the solution culture. So there is definitely a nutrient layer, and then there's a water pump. Continuously, the water also has to be getting cleaned here. So no water logging. See, what happens is when water logging is there, the plants die. That's the big problem. When rains come during the growth season of the plants. See, when water stands, especially during flood situation, the entire crop will be lost because of water logging and suffocation of the roots, and the plants die. So this is how we apply all these things for the high value crop. Okay, solution culture and hydroponic culture. So it's been continuously increasing. Okay, there's an absolute high value crops. We told you lettuce, strawberries, or vanilla. The people use it. Hydroponics also, I've already told you, they're controlling the pH. See, many times, when the pH is above 8, we say it's an alkaline soil. Less than 5, we say it's acidic soil. So normally, plants prefer a neutral pH, and then, if it is acidic or if it is basic, especially we should be using the muriate of potash, okay, to increase the pH, and sulfate of potash to decrease the pH. So like that, hydroponics also works like this. So obviously high yield and quality, we have been trolling. Look at this, the plant, it is definitely a fact that what is grown hydroponically, it is something like ICU, and then, putting the pregnant mother in an intensive care unit, so that, the childbirth and growth in especially rare and precious pregnancies, people do it. Similarly, here also we do all those things. So we have a grow back technique, we have a hanging back technique, because this is also going in terms of the vertical farming. Polybags are arranged in rows. Here they're arranged vertically. It's filled with growing media, maybe cocoa peat, peat or vermiculite, a very fine soil. So they bring all these things so that it can hold a lot of nutrients, a lot of moisture also, and a lot of aeration to the roots. What will happen is, if it is a sticky soil, especially if you don't use the correct culture, your roots are going to get suffocated and dead. Disadvantage is it's a very high initial cost, high operational cost, a lot of labor is required, and high technical know-how is required. So that's what people thought it only countries like Israel and very Western countries do it. But today, very high value crops, especially in tissue culture plants, and high value crops like vanilla or even spices and things like that, people use soilless culture, especially in and around cities where the land is a very limited scarce resource. You can erect these sort of polyhouses in just about 1 acre or 2 acres of land. You can actually produce your crops and market it like a factory. So absolutely no problem. So solution culture, we have already told you, the more signs of it, more supply of oxygen is provided to the roots. So it is not a static solution culture. Please understand. We also give an aerator here so that continuously the water keeps getting pumped and circulation, and again it gets cleaned and comes back. So there is also a nutrient reservoir. There's a waste tank where the circulation of water is going through the root system, and this is just a diagram to show you how the water flow is going in the nutrient flow. So recycled and recirculation is also a very important thing. So there are different types of hydroponic systems, the nutrient film technique, F1 flow, drip method, and deep flow. Let us go quickly. So nutrient film technique is, okay, there is a nutrient pond here where we create a small bag, a reservoir. From here, to the root system, less like a drip system, only the nutrients are supplied to the roots and the required moisture only is supplied. So here again, we use IoT and sensors are there. You can come down to IIHR, I'll show you sometime how we use the IoT, and we have already programmed that one, and the required quantity only, these monitors and sensors are going to supply only the required amount of moisture, humidity, and the nutrient. So that is nutrient film technique. In case of ebb and flow, okay, again there's a submersible pump. Continuously it will be putting into this filtrates. There is always a reservoir and a two drawn tube. That is called the ebb and flow method. So because here we are using clay granules, unless there we use this one, but here we are using clay granules in ebb and flow. So drip method, again we have told you similar technique, but continuously the drip is not through the medium, but it is giving an aerial this one. Okay, it is sprayed on the top. Okay, we give a spray. So that is called the drip method here. So you see how it is getting sprayed. Aerosol sprays, we say. So it is sprayed like that. So soil media culture, we have got a lot of organic media. We have got sawdust, which is definitely coming from the wood industries, the cocoa peat coming from the coconut industries, peat, okay, which is then wood ash, okay, wood chips, bark, sphagnum moss, all these things are byproducts of some industries and all these things. So natural media, we have vermiculite, a type of clay, gravel, then rock wool, perlite, sand, and glass wool. These are also synthetic media, hydrogel, foam mates, and versus plastic foam. So these are the inorganic media. That's how we take the culture. Look at the cocoa peat, the perlite, vermiculite, sphagnum moss. See, all this create aeration, When I mix this and put them in the pro trays, as I showed you all that. So that is the example. So the density, the bulk density is less. You please see here, where the porosity is very high. That's the very important issue here. Once when the porosity is high, see, how do we classify the soil? We classify the soil as, illite, montmorillite, okay, red soil, black soil, okay, clay soil. See, we say clay soil, there's a lot of water stagnation because percolation is less. So why we say that you add more organic matter? We say because you have to improve the porosity, we have to improve the oxygen content, and therefore it supplies more organic carbon and oxygen both. So that is actually done in making this particular soilless media with this sort of growing media. So a lot of substrates also, okay, peat and perlite in the ratio 1:1. Okay, fin peat and perlite again 1:1. Forest soil, which is rich in humus, humic acid, okay. See, people have been using papaya production. I'm just in a small pot culture. You can see, I will show you some of my friends. See, they have done this terrace farming, vertical farming at their house. Just a 30-40 site, 2 buildings. And one of my colleagues, Dr. Pichamutu, has done it. He grows all his vegetables and whatever he requests for home for himself. So you can also do it. One is for the commercial soil. It's got table grapes also grown. Nursery, we have already told. So, look at this. You can use all the,
amla, in poly bags, grape seedlings in poly bags. See, today nobody has got the time and the energy and cost to produce the seedlings. That's why the nursery men and the nursery itself has become a very commercial venture to do it. I have under 9 minutes to go. I'll just quickly conclude. So air layering in guava using sphagnum moss. See, once when you do this air layering, wherever we tie it, the roots start developing. See, I think you know the how once when the roots start developing, this can be cut off here and then it can be planted. That is called the air layering. So we require rooting of grape vine cutting in soilless media. So, if you want to do the root system, you should use all these things, especially the gibberellic acid and the oxalic acid, okay? Auxins and gibberellins. Gibberellins put the roots, okay? Auxins put the shoots. So when you enrich your soils and when you enrich your moss with that sort of medium, you can actually see that the rooting occurs and then you can remove them and start putting the cuttings in the soil. Okay, that's how we used it. Hardening of banana plants using a peat as a substrate. See, many times what happens is, see, banana is a bit moisture-loving crop, and then you should start hardening. See, hardening means when you apply the physical moisture stress to these plants, you cannot physically do it on a big 1.5 acre plot and all that. So the plant itself has to harden, just like, you are given a military training and to the harsh environment to fight in Leh and Ladakh, how our soldiers are trained. Similarly, we can train our plants also using peat as a substrate. Once you harden these banana plants, even in adverse climate, that's why, we have an institute called as Institute for Abiotic and Biotic Stress. We have the Biotic Stress Institute coming up at Patna. We have the National Institute for Abiotic Stress, which has come up in Maharashtra. Okay, so similarly, people are working. Science is there, production is there, 333 million tons, 6,48,000 villages. But where is the market? Where is the vertical integration? I have under 5 minutes to go. So similarly, aeroponics, a lot of air getting circulated. We have already told you how water is supplied, and you see how the water is actually splashed onto the roots at regular intervals. And these regular intervals are again controlled through IoT, okay, sensor-based things. And absolutely, it will get water when it is required. See, already, people, even when they give the aerial spray through the leaves, the plants pick up the water and other nutrients even through the hydrothodes. That's stomata. And it stores in the vacuole. I think you know the basic structure of a plant cell where the nutrients are stored in the vacuole and slowly it picks up. See, that is the whole biology and physiology of the plant physiology here. Using that only, all these things are structured. So I think we should understand using the mist. Soilless culture, you see how the lettuce has been growing here. So land, labor, disease and pest, water and nutrition, all these things can be optimized. Land is less, labor requirement is less, disease and pest is less, water requirement is less, nutrition is also less. Everything is tailor-made, control on the environment. These are some of the benefits here. Secondary benefits, obviously, there is no UV radiation because we are putting it in the polyhouses, safe biological control. So a lot of pest attack and, suddenly resurgence of pest can be avoided. Off-season things, we've already told you. The concept of Kharif, Rabi, summer has gone away. Plants grown, there are a lot of things, especially, both even here also people grow. Namdhari or many other companies have been doing this. Even here, don't think these are all only European concepts. So anyway, friends, very quickly, let us conclude. So we are only mimicking the traditional methods and the agronomic practices based on production and soil-based systems. We are putting it into hydroponics, soilless, protected cultivation. I showed you soilless culture can be an effective tool not only to improve the crop yield and water use, but also reduce the environmental impact of greenhouse and nurseries. So, and better quality of products can be obtained. And based on the tailor-made consumer preferences, your color, taste, off-season, timely requirement, all those things can be scheduled very quickly. I see a lot of prospects and advantages. And the day is not far when the farmers themselves will get upgraded and trained and use these sort of things, reduce the dependence on soil, reduce the wastage of their labor, reduce the wastage of their nutrients. And there are two things which has to be optimized in a soilless cultivation. We say input factorization and output commercialization. You have to reduce the input, more crop per drop, and then you also have to increase the output per drop. And obviously, the other marketing and management things like supply chain, value chain, okay, and all these issues will come. Thank you very much. I'm going to end my slideshow. now the session is open for discussion.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I'll take up the questions from the participants now. Sir, can you please stop sharing the screen, sir, so that we can see
Yeah, I'll
your
stop. I'll
presentation?
stop. I'll just stop.
Okay. Move on to the
Thank you.
questions now. The first question is, do you think in the years ahead, soilless cultivation will become more popular in India?
Definitely, it is already becoming popular. You see, especially the people who are into, for example, Reliance Fresh or any of these big supermarkets are outsourcing all these things from the farmers. That's how they get their vegetables and things. Now, actually, they are financing these polyhouses and protected cultivation and soilless cultivation so that they get continuous supply of the thing, and the seasonality has been removed. See, you should get lettuce all the year. You should get whatever you ask and demand all the year. Already it is going on, and a huge money has been pumped into the farmers only. Already the vertical integration has taken place with the so-called supermarket chain, and the farmers who have, see, suppose you right from here, if you go to Mandya and even our Kolar and in and around Bengaluru, all our peri-urban areas, lot of these issues are coming because very close to the market. See, otherwise the transportation cost is going to be huge. And you may ask me one question: what will happen to the very remote and distant villages? They will start growing other crops, especially in peri-urban areas, very high value crop, especially horticulture, dairy, and these sort of crops, which is immediately catering to the urban market, has already come up with this sort of concept. It will still grow. There is a lot of scope, and continuously I see a year-on-year growth. It is already growing. It's a fantastic market.
Okay. Can soilless cultivation be a substitute for soil cultivation to feed the world's population?
Yeah, see, now the farmer is the same. It is, like our party or our grandmother used to prepare in some method. But whereas in our generation, we are using the micro oven, we are using the pressure cooker. Same idli and chutney we are also preparing. But the technology has changed. Similarly, the farmer is same. He is going to be upskilled, unskilled and reskilled, and he is now shifting to these sort of things, especially, see, no longer the farmer will do this nursery issues in his field. So he will have a protected nursery where the farmer producing organization and a cluster is going to get about 10,000 to 20,000 saplings or seedlings. So nobody is going to, earlier every farmer used to raise a nursery. That has gone. So now that is coming from the nursery in a CBBO, cluster-based business organization, FPOs. So similarly, if it is a very high value crop, I showed you those tomatoes and especially capsicums, gherkins, 100% export. Okay, suppose you want dragon fruit, you want some other high value fruit. So it is grown like that. Farmer only is going to do it with less of soil, with more of productivity rather than production.
Okay. Will soilless cultivation always remain a fringe activity, something only done by small segment of growers?
Yeah, see now, madam, see, it is like, for example, you are staying in a very deluxe flat. Okay, flats come in 3-bedroom, big bedroom, some prestige group, very concept flats, big common area, like that. See, small group, big group. See, here we cannot apply the concept of equity and equality. Equality is a myth. See, the fellow with technology, the fellow with more industriousness, the fellow with more entrepreneurship, the fellow is a startup, the fellow is intelligent, will definitely be making more money. The dull fellow who is a laggard will always be behind. So therefore, who are the people who will do soilless cultivation, protected cultivation? Definitely it is the innovator. See, innovator need not be rich. See, richness and innovativeness don't go together. The fellow who is innovative, the fellow who does this soilless cultivation, is a high value commodity farmer. So definitely he will make more money. See, is there not difference between an IIT cracked engineer and a donation bloody engineer who gets 35%? Is there not difference between an IAS officer or a agriculture research scientist like me who have come to the competitive exam? and some other idiot who has not passed anything. So there's always scope for this talent, technology, and the person who is an innovator who has applied all these things. And definitely this sort of difference will be there. It should exist. And a day is not far where the others will also become actors in this supply chain and value chain. We are not saying the fellow who does not do soilless cultivation will not get less money. He may become a nursery man. He may be a specialist in plant protection in nursery. He may be a specialist in ultraviolet radiation technology. Some other farmer may become an IoT specialist, which are all required for this sort of cultivation. Thank you.
Okay. Which vegetables are highly cultivated in protected condition in India?
Yeah, see, in India especially, the so-called capsicums, okay, gherkins especially, and lettuce. See, some of these crops are not native to India. For example, people are eating a lot of lettuce, okay, then they're expecting spinach, There was a Popeye show, Popeye. So, there they say that Popeye ate the spinach. See, some of these are very high valued crops which are imported. Otherwise, we used to get it. So they are all grown on this soilless one. And even, any off-season crops. See, today we talk about off-season mangoes. We talk about off-season vegetables. So they are all grown, madam, already. Especially even, I should give an example. Okay, tomatoes and capsicums. Okay, they are all grown like that. So you get very high value tomatoes and capsicums. Gherkins especially. I was here in Goribidnur very recently. One of my friends, Nagegoda, is an 100% exporter. I said, why don't you give the gherkins to the local market also? He's doing it. So all these European, temperate climate. See, there is another issue in horticulture you should please understand. That's called the tropicalization of temperate crops. See, many of the temperate crops cannot be grown in the tropical climate because we are 23.5 degree below. We are below the Ujjain 23.5 degree Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. We are between this. So therefore, many of the temperate crops have a lot of value in the tropical, especially Bangalore, Calcutta, Mumbai, and New Delhi. So therefore, they are all grown in and around all this peri-urban area. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank Dr. V.K. Jayaraghavendra for the talk and for answering the questions. I like to also thank all the participants in the meeting. This meeting is now be closed.
So thank you very much. I always
welcome, sir.
Yeah. See, I'm a great, it's a great honor that agriinformation.com has been giving me umpteen opportunities. And I sincerely thank your entire team. Hope for better synchronization and interaction in the coming days and future. Happy Diwali in advance. Thank you very much.
Wish you also an happy Diwali, sir. You're most welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll leave the meeting.
Thank you. Sir. Please, sir.